Hello. In this short video tutorial, I would like to show you some features of LinkedIn searches, as well as some LinkedIn tips that will help you consider your alternative careers. Even if you feel completely stuck, it will allow you to move forward and realize that there is a massive power in LinkedIn networking for your career development. I'm going to keep things very practical and I won't give you too much theory. So let me show you a few things using my own profile. So first of all, you need to have a professional photo. It doesn't have to be taken by a professional photographer. The main thing is that there is a headshot of you looking professional without any beer glasses or kittens. Believe me, I have seen those and they don't look very professional. Many people ask me whether you need to have a photo at all, and I would say absolutely, because it raises the credibility of your profile and you're more likely to be taken seriously if you have a full profile with a photo, your name and the main headline, either your current position or preferably what it is that you are after. Obviously, for many of you who are still in clinical practice and you don't want your employer or your colleagues to know that you are looking for alternatives, it may not be possible that you write what you're looking for. However, you need to have some kind of indication of what it is you're after. So at least in your profile summary. Profile summary is something that you write underneath the main header, but before a list of your jobs. Why is this important? When your profile is viewed by anybody, especially headhunters and recruiters, they don't have time to go through your whole profile. What they're most likely to be reviewing is the profile summary here. And very importantly, you need to keep things concise and clear, hopefully in bullet points like I've done here, and listing your achievements rather than duties and responsibilities. And the same applies to your description of your roles. So focus on achievements. For example, delivered over 100 hours of career advising rather than describing a task and a duty that you had in that job, because this will really set you apart from other candidates. The other thing I would recommend is growing your LinkedIn network. And if you have a status that shows 500 plus, it shows that you are a very credible and enthusiastic networker. And psychologically, I think they've done some studies of profiles that have this status, and psychologically people tend to perceive you as more credible and a bit of an expert in what you do, whatever you do. This is quite a superficial reason for having more than 500 connections. The main reason, I would say, from a practical point of view, is that you have 500 plus first level connections, which will expose you to many more second level connections and third level connections. I will show this on the diagram.
Let's just look at a simple picture to explain what LinkedIn is all about. And this will be a very revealing way for you to understand the whole point of LinkedIn, hopefully. Okay, so here's, for simplicity, let's say this is me. So here it is, me in the corner, and I'm connected to two people who are my first level connections. In turn, each of these people are connected to two other people. I mean, this is for simplicity, because rarely in life this happens. Most people have bigger networks. But let's assume that those two people are connected to two people, and that becomes second level connections for me. And each one of their connections is connected to some more people, and this is actually more realistic. So when I connect to you, you become my first connection. But really what I'm getting is 3 levels of contacts, and this is profound. So you can see the power of LinkedIn in terms of bringing the possibilities and the contacts to you. So I'll give you an example. So I have 951 connections to date on my profile. So it says 500 plus, but LinkedIn doesn't specify it. But I found a way to know how many I actually do have. So 951 connections. That's first level connections, and that gave me 600,000 second connections, and obviously it will be in the millions in terms of my third connections. So this is the same diagram but in a smaller form, and I want to show you, for those of you who are visual, this is how I see it. So again, this is me connected to first level connections. This is me connected to second level connections and to third level. So all these guys, so this will be in millions for me personally. They are available to me if I'm doing research in terms of moving to a different career, I can reach out to any one of them. There will be a wider circle who LinkedIn does not cover. Okay, so they're beyond my third connection, and therefore I can't readily contact them. However, there is a way around it. So let's imagine that outside of my immediate network, which is first, second, and third connections, I've got some people who I want to contact. So let's say that person is a decision maker in a particular industry that I want to move into. Okay, but it seems that they are out of reach. Now, what happens if you convert your second level connections and third level connections, but by simply writing to them and saying, I know you through such and such, I'm interested in your research or in your work. I mean, there are ways of contacting people nicely, and by converting them to become your first level connections, the rest of the guys who were completely outside of your reach become your second connections. Is it not powerful? And this is basically the gist of LinkedIn and why it's different from Twitter and Facebook.
Many people ask me what to write in their summary profile here, and I would say the main question you have to ask yourself is, what are my current career goals that I'm hoping LinkedIn can help me solve? Okay, so what are my current career goals? If your career goal is to transition from clinical practice, you can indicate this in your profile summary by stating that you are currently a clinician with a specialist interest in XYZ, looking for opportunities in ABC. Okay. Again, this goes back to what I mentioned previously, that some people who are currently in clinical practice and don't wish to be found out by their colleagues or their employer, it may be difficult to be this explicit. However, there's nothing to stop you from writing that you are a clinician and you do have a specialist interest in XYZ. Because recruiters who are looking for a particular, especially technical skill set, will find you. And if you're brave enough to write open to opportunities, literally just open to opportunities, you're more likely to be contacted. But again, you don't have to write that you're open to opportunities, just at least write your specialist interest or a list of skills and expertise. So that would be my advice for profile summary. It doesn't have to be long. It could be your 3 to 5 unique selling points that would distinguish you from other medics also looking for alternative careers. I would highly recommend getting a customized URL for your LinkedIn so that you can include it in your CV. And the way to do this is look here contact and personal information, click on the pencil sign. You will see this box appearing and it says profile URL. You click here and it will give you a view of a page that is visible to the general public, even if they're not signed into LinkedIn. Okay, so this is it says, when viewers haven't signed in, this is how your profile appears. You can control what sections are visible and you can update your URL. To update your actual URL, you press on the pencil here and you can write whatever you want here. So often you will have something like linkedin.com/John Smith 12345 gobbledygook. And if you remove the letters and digits that have nothing to do with your name, you will be left with a nice clean name here and a nice URL that can be put in your CV. Often, if you have quite a common surname or name such as John Smith, it may be difficult because there are so many John Smiths around. You may play around with maybe including two of your first names, or putting your surname first and then the name, or you may actually have to use some letters after your name, and then you press save here. Okay. Also to say that you can control what is seen by the general public by ticking and unticking different sections here. Now I want to give you a couple more tips before we move to some features. That you can browse other people's profiles in an anonymous mode. Go to settings and privacy, and then go to privacy. Then you look for profile viewing options, and it says choose whether you're visible or viewing in a private mode. And then you have three choices. You're either fully visible or you are in a private mode, like I have ticked here, or something in between. I would say I'd choose either the first one or the third option. Once you've activated this option, like I have now, you're not going to be visible to anybody, so you can gather some insights about people you wouldn't want to know that you've looked them up. But make sure you go back to activate your normal profile. The reason being is that once you are in an anonymous browsing mode, you cannot see who looked you up for that period of time that you are in this mode. I'm going to go back to my profile. Why is this important that you are able to see who looked you up? If you are on the free account, you at any given time you're able to see the last 5 people who looked up your profile. With a premium account, you can see all of them. But even with the last 5 at any given time, it is quite useful information who is looking up your profile. A lot of the time you will see people who are like you. They are either medics also in a similar specialty, or maybe looking for alternative career options, or it could be people who have already made transitions, but they're looking for people who are like them. So using this information to connect with people who are like you can be very useful. Also, you might see some recruiters from a particular sector that you're trying to move into looking up your profile, because their search for potential candidates has resulted in your profile amongst other candidates. Okay, so I would say it is a useful feature, so do stay in the open mode for the time that you are on LinkedIn, apart from when you need to make a specific anonymous search. And my last tip for today is to customize your invites. I'm going to write John Smith just for illustration. I don't really know this person, but I'm going to connect with him. Well, I'm not going to connect with him, but I'll show you how you should do it. So if you press connect from his profile instead of the previous page, which resulted in a long list of John Smiths, there are 55,000 of them. So I would stay away from this button here, because if you press this button, it will send an invitation right away, and John Smith will receive an invitation from a random person he doesn't know. Well, unless you obviously know him in real life. And he's less likely to want to connect with you if he doesn't know who you are and why you want to connect with him. But suppose it's an interesting person, you've come across his profile and you really want to find out more about his work or his role or a company that he works for, and before you can do that, you need to connect with him. To connect with him, you need to press on the connect button from his profile, and don't send it straight away with this automatic message. Instead, add a note. Okay, so you would write something like, dear John, I'm XYZ, right? Exploring opportunities in the ABC sector, and I've come up with your profile during my search. You seem to have a very interesting career trajectory. I would like to find out more about your either current role or maybe previous role at a particular company. Let's connect. Okay, so you're being quite vague here. You're not asking for a job. You're not asking to for him to commit any amount of time to answer to you. Your main agenda here is for him to press the connect button, because once you two are connected, you can then send a longer message. By the way, this one, as you can see, is limited to 300 characters, so you can't really write much. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not going to connect with him. But anyway, so once you're connected, you can send a much longer message explaining what it is you're after, and maybe asking a couple of questions. Again, you're not asking for a job in the second message. You're just building trust and building rapport. My biggest advice would be to always customize your connection requests. Be extra careful if you're connecting with somebody from a mobile phone, because if you press on the connect button, it will send a request automatically, and you won't be able to add a note. However, if you go to the little sign on the top right hand side corner with 3 dots as seen here, you will be able to add a note. Now let's explore some things that you can do with LinkedIn to find out opportunities for yourself rather than doing simply job searches. So a job search would be here. You would put a role that you're after and a place here. But that's quite straightforward, and that's what many of you have already been doing anyway. What I wanted to give you an example of how to generate options for yourself is this. So this actually comes from a recent direct message that I received from a doctor who is looking for alternative careers, and he's not really sure what he wants to do, but he thinks that he identifies with the culture and the mission of a company called Stryker. Okay, so I've put in Stryker London, and I'm going to put search. Now, for this company, you can click on companies and find out more about this company. So it's a medical devices company with a headquarter in the US. It tells you more about them here, what kind of products they make, other things about this company. The reason why I'm showing you this page is this. If you're a doctor who is quite interested in working at this company, but there are currently no jobs that are of interest to you, you would actually check here. On the right hand side, LinkedIn offers you other similar companies. So even if these weren't immediately obvious to you, here it is. All these companies sell similar devices or provide similar services. So that immediately expands your search opportunities. So you can then check out Boston Scientific and see if they have any jobs there. And you can find out more about the company. You can follow them. If you follow a company, it means that in your main on your main wall, anytime that a company you follow posts an update, whether that's an update about a position they're recruiting for, or maybe an achievement that they would like the world to know about, it will appear on your main wall. So that's very useful to know about, either for interviews or just for your general knowledge, because you're interested in working in that sector. Okay, let's go back. Now, once you've found a particular role that you would like to apply for, or even a role that you don't really think that you're suitable for, but you're generally interested in that sector or in that company, what I would recommend is searching for, checking if you have any first level connections who work at that company. So I happen to have one first level connection working at Boston Scientific. At this point, I could send her a message to find out more about the company. So it opens up a field, send a message, dear such and such, I've noticed that you currently work at Boston Scientific, and this is a company that has been on my radar because of XYZ, and I would like to find out more about the company culture, and I would welcome an opportunity to ask you a few questions about ABC. Okay, so you see, you're not asking for a job, you're finding out some insider information about the company, which you can then later use in your either application or a covering letter or an interview. So that's a very useful thing to do rather than just apply for a job. Now let's imagine that you have no idea what company you would like to work at. However, you think you know the type of a role that would interest you. For example, project management. Let's just do a very quick search, project management, and I'm going to narrow this down to healthcare. Otherwise, we will end up with a million of results for project management. So again, here you could either find out about companies that are currently recruiting for this role, or posts by other people who mention something to do with healthcare project management, or specific jobs or people who are currently in this role. So for jobs, you can sort by relevance or post date. I'll leave it by relevance. So immediately you can see there are 595 results. You can narrow this down by location. Let's say London only. So this has been narrowed down to 365 results. You can actually create a search alert. So every time a job is posted that has keywords healthcare management, project management in London, you will be notified to your email through email. Okay, so there are loads of jobs that have something to do with project management in healthcare, and you can explore any of them. But at the same time, I would really recommend clicking on people and actually seeing who currently, or maybe in the past, had something to do with healthcare project management. Obviously, there are over 1,700,000 results, and not all of them will be relevant. So you have to just go through them and see what's relevant. But you will be astonished to see how many former or current medics are involved in non-clinical roles. I have no idea whether this person is a former medic or not, but she's a project manager at GE Healthcare, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's a former medic. Okay, well, she isn't, but you can do a little bit of investigative search, and actually it's very exciting to look up people's profiles and see what career journeys they've taken to end up in a particular role. Okay, let's imagine this person was a former medic and she's now a project manager at GE. You would send her a connection request, again, not from here, but from her own page. So you would press connect, add a note. What's her name? Vicky. So you would write, "Dear Vicky, I've noticed that you are a former medic who has transitioned into GE project management. I would be grateful if we could connect so that I can find out more about your career transition." Okay, keep it very general and very vague at the outset. Similarly, you can do a search for other roles that you think might appeal. For example, healthcare, communications. And you can check by people and connect with some people who, okay, there are lots of medics in healthcare communications. So that's your invaluable resource from peers. Or you can look up jobs directly. There will be lots of jobs as well. Posts, let's see what posts show. There will be posts related to this topic. So you can even explore what hashtags exist and then do searches by hashtag. The opportunities for searches on LinkedIn are vast. So that's it for today. I hope that you found this useful. This is just a summary of some tips that I mentioned in the course of this video. Thank you for listening, and feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. Bye bye.